In our last segment, we learned about the role of operating engineers and how this trade moves materials to service the other building trades at a construction site. From excavators moving gravel for plumbers burying pipe, to a crawler crane delivering concrete to the laborers on the deck, this is the building trade that operates the heavy equipment. Now let's once again catch up with Terry McGowan and check out one of the kings of this trade, the tower crane, and see how they are used in the construction process. Wow, Terry, another beautiful view of the workscape here. And of course, we're out at the Epic campuses near Verona, Wisconsin. And as I understand it, this is phase 3 of several that are planned?
Phase 3. This is the farm campus, Stu. And as you see, the theme here is farm because obviously the buildings are styled after barns.
Oh, it's just beautiful. It's got to be a joy for the workers that ultimately work for Epic. But the pride that shines through of all the tradespeople here, over 1,000 on any given day working, it really is a joy to be here.
Over 1,000, and you'll see just on these decks alone, you'll see all the workers put in this small condensed area working together to achieve one goal, and that's to build these beautiful buildings.
Yeah, a great testament not only to the workers, but to the management, the ownership at Epic. I'm glad to see a project like this moving forward. Now, earlier in the show, we touched a little bit on the cranes, especially the crawler cranes that the operating engineers are operating, some of the other equipment that's going on. I want to get into these tower cranes, though. Earlier, I had a chance to climb up on one of those. I was blown away. I wish more people had the opportunity that I had today. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, the tower cranes are really something unique, and it's a very special piece of equipment. We've got 2 younger operators up there right now. They have a very good name in our industry. They're very well trusted. There's a lot of confidence in these young people. They both came through our apprenticeship program years ago. They learned under journey workers by working up inside that cab and learning the intricacies of a tower crane. You'll notice that the entire tower crane leans forward. It's all mounted on soft iron. And as you swing that tower crane, you don't quite stop, you just go a little more.
No, I noticed that the whole thing would just sway a little bit, and I was a little worried, and they're like, no, don't worry, it's designed that way.
It's definitely a very unique feeling when you're up there, and it's something that you adapt to. There's so many variables. When you lift something off the end of that jib, you suddenly find yourself going forward, and when you've got workers that are working down on that deck below you, and you're bringing that heavy piece of equipment in, they're going to trust that you know the depth. A lot of times when a lot of guys will paint their cables so they know how many feet they're down, or they have very good depth perception. They'll be able to watch that deck, and they'll know when they're close to bringing it in by those journey workers.
And let me tell you, when you're up there, you talk about depth, it's amazing. Everybody looks like a little ant down there. Yet the operator, Jeff in this case, was a master at picking it up within I swear I could put a bullseye, a softball there, 6 inches in diameter, and he could just go and lightly touch it.
And Stu, when you think that not only are you lowering that load as you come in, but your boom tip is a lot further than the load because of the swing. And when you're bringing it into that deck and those people put it right in there, that takes skill. That's nothing you're going to learn in a book. That's nothing you're going to learn by watching. That's something you learn by doing it.
It's incredible. It's a testament to the training that's offered by, in this case, the operating engineers.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we talked earlier, you said it was 80, 100, 120 feet high on the crawler cranes. How tall are these tower cranes?
Well, this one's in excess of 200 feet up. And the jib, what we call the horizontal part, goes out 250 feet.
250 feet?
250
That's almost the length of a football field.
Well, it's certainly enough to service this deck, isn't it?
Sure. And then that one over there, it's a little bit shorter. That was the one I was up on, but what was that, about 140, 160 feet?
140 feet with the same amount of jib. And if you'll notice, they coordinate with each other, and these two have worked on a lot of projects together before. And you'll see when they go over each other, they're very careful not to catch each other's lines. When you see their jibs cross each other, they've got their lines pulled in just enough where they don't get wrapped up. And these guys, they're still young. They've got a long career ahead of them, but they've worked together enough where they can coordinate a job, and everybody on that deck has all the faith in the world in them.
And you know, one thing I noticed, it's more than just the operating on a day-to-day level, moving equipment around. They're also in charge of the maintenance.
Yes, they are. And they get up there early enough in the morning before anybody else is here on the deck, and they're up there servicing that piece of equipment so that they can run all day safely and without any breakdowns.
And you talk about lugging equipment up there. I know I was very grateful our cameraman lugged his camera up there. It's a very large, heavy camera. We just looked at each other and had to high five. It was awesome. The view, seeing the trained professionals doing it, and the coordination that goes in to operating a piece of equipment that large, yet he can drop it within a 1-foot area to pick something up.
And I'll tell you what, they've got the trust and they've got the confidence of everybody working on that deck, because a lot of those people know who those guys up in those tower cranes are.
Stick around. We'll check out some more heavy equipment and continue our tour with the operating engineers next, when we continue with today's Remodeler.